I'm going to share my screen now, and then I'll introduce myself to you. There we go. Okay, hopefully you can all see my presentation now. I am more than happy to answer some questions at the end, and thank you very much for those of you that have already submitted questions. I've prepared some answers for you. Just to introduce myself then, so I'm Mrs. Katie Barrow, and I am currently head of sixth form here at a school in Cyprus, and also working part-time for the University of Lincoln in the Schools and Colleges Liaison team. The presentation I'm going to talk through tonight is all linked to our College of Social Science and all the possible careers that you could have if you pursue a subject within the social science family. And I'll talk through those subjects as well as the career choices throughout the presentation. If you do have any questions throughout, please do pop them in the chat box and I'll take them at the end. I'm also going to share this presentation afterwards as well, so you can read it at your leisure. And again, if there's anything that you want to come back to me with or any further questions that you have after reflecting on what you've heard this evening, then my email is on the first slide and I'm more than happy to talk to you one-on-one. And if I don't know the answer, I'll certainly point you in the direction of somebody who can. So in terms of the presentation, I'm going to very quickly talk about university as a whole, really, and why go to university, I suppose, and the kind of questions that you need to be asking yourself if university is something you're considering for your future options. I'm also going to talk about the many different disciplines within social science. It's absolutely huge and vast, and something that the College of Social Science and the lecturers within were really keen for me to stress during this presentation is that any subject you study within social science really gives you some excellent transferable skills which are applicable to a range of careers. On range of careers, I'm going to give you some interesting and perhaps different and unique careers that you might not have considered before. And I'm also going to point you in the direction of some possible research you could do if any of those prick your interests. And I'm just going to share with you a story from one of our alumni students who studied a social science degree and where that has taken him. And he's going to leave you with some words of wisdom as well. So lots to go through. Like I say, if I do rattle through, the presentation is going to be recorded and you've always got my email address for any questions that you may have, or indeed ask them at the end. So there is a real value of going to university, and this is applicable for social science courses or indeed any courses at all. Generally, you start higher up the jobs ladder, and salaries are usually higher for graduates. Lots of students wish to study at UK institutions because UK degrees are internationally recognised. If you go to a university in the UK, you have that kind of esteem that comes with your degree once awarded. And many jobs, certainly within social science arena, are only open to graduates, and some are very subject specific. And I'm going to highlight those as we go through the presentation. There are, however, different routes for social science roles and employment opportunities. So university is just one of those, but I think it's only fair to highlight to you if there are particular roles that you're interested in, then sometimes university degree is the only route. Going to university is such a fantastic different way of learning. It doesn't suit everybody, but it is much, I suppose, different and varied to perhaps what you're used to, in that you have lots and lots of time for independent study and research. You will be taught in lectures, seminars and tutorials. And for particular courses, there's lots of opportunities for academic field trips, work placements, and also studying abroad, dependent on the degree that you wish to pursue. So this, I suppose, is one of the most important slides before I go into the subject specific and the careers. Here's some questions that you can reflect on when you're considering, is university right for you? And as I mentioned at the first slide, there's lots of different routes into careers. University is just one of them. These are the type of questions to consider. So do you really enjoy studying and learning? Because that's obviously a large part of your diet as a student at university. Do you have a specific area of interest I want to pursue? And I'm kind of assuming here that because you've come to this particular talk on social science courses, that there is a specific area of interest that's attracted you or that you're interested in taking further. Do you highlight the idea of studying in an environment with experts? Do you want to study and live independently? And do you like the idea of meeting hundreds, if not thousands, of like-minded people in a campus environment? And then lastly, of course, does the career that you have in mind require a degree? And I hope through this presentation that I do answer some of those questions. And again, if there's anything that you're unsure about in terms of career choice and if the degree is necessary, you can always ask at the end. So in terms of social science then, social sciences are essentially about people. It's a collection of subjects which looks at humans, how we develop and how we come together as society. It's huge and vast, and there are so many different disciplines and subject areas you can pursue. The College of Social Science at the University of Lincoln, we have 6 schools, and I'm going to talk to you about each of those schools throughout the presentation. Those schools include subjects such as education, health and social care, law, psychology, social and political sciences, and sport and exercise science. So you can see they're absolutely vast. And we look at those and consider how they apply to individuals and society as a whole. But moreover than that, by being a social science student, you're looking at having opportunities to develop those transferable skills, such as curiosity, creativity and critical thinking. So at the University of Lincoln, we like to think and we praise ourselves on offering contemporary and relevant programs, looking at preparing students for a rapidly changing world. And I'm going to touch upon that a little bit later on when we look at the context of why pursuing a career in social science is more important now than perhaps it's ever been before. So our schools. The College of Social Science has different specialisms within it. So if you're considering a career in education or health and social care or law or psychology, anything to do with politics or human rights, sociology and sport and exercise science, then that comes under the umbrella of social science. And that is absolutely true of all universities, and they divide their subjects into particular colleges and schools. I'm not going to play this video here, but when you get this presentation, you're able to access it. The link here will take you to a very small video on the College of Social Science by way of an introduction. And on the video, you're able to see our facilities and also hear from some of the students themselves about their choices and what they've studied. So what could you study? These are some of the courses that you could study and pursue at university, including criminology, sociology, digital learning, psychology, all the law courses, international relations and politics, as well as paramedic science, nursing and midwifery. So if any of these particular careers or subject areas are appealing to you, then you are possibly a social science graduate applicant. So social science graduates then, regardless if you go to university or if you want to pursue studying social science, you will develop a huge range of skills that are valued across many, many industries and professions. All of these skills collectively are especially attractive to employers in sectors such as the business sector, the government sector, and also media sectors as well. So the potential for where you take your studying and your career choices are significant. I mentioned this before, and I think it's really important to consider. So it's really anticipated that those people that study social science are going to play a huge and significant role in informing social and economic recovery from COVID-19. We've already looked at that social science considers humans, it considers people, it considers societies, and the world is emerging post-COVID into a new era involving technology, involving business and involving economics. So social sciences plays a key role in some of the UK's fastest growing sectors. These include IT, information and communication, the financial sector, legal and professional services, and the creative services as well. Now, this is really interesting research from the ISE, or the Institute of Student Employers, and it found that actually only 15% of employers required a specific degree. It means that those that go on to study social science have a real wide range of opportunities open to them. And this is something I always share with my students as a head of sixth form, because sometimes it can be a really difficult decision to choose the course that you want to study. There are literally tens of thousands of them. And when you consider the wide range of institutions, you can do a foundation degree, you can do a sandwich degree. It can be a really complex and stressful process to go through. But quite often, unless you want a really specific career, actually just getting that degree and understanding the different facets of social science can stand you in a really good stead to be employable. So I hope you're interested in pursuing social science further on. According to the Higher Education Statistics Agency, you're more likely to be in paid employment than arts or science graduates. You're more likely to be in a managerial or senior role faster than graduates from other degree areas, and you're more likely to be highly valued by employers for those skills of analysis, interpretation, and of course, communication. Okay, I'm going to talk you now through the different schools that we have within our college. I will talk briefly about the courses that we offer, but moreover, I'm going to focus on the future careers that you could pursue as a result of these particular degree choices. So the School of Education, obviously something I'm very passionate about. We offer Bachelors of Arts degrees in education. You can do dual honours degree with education and psychology, and then also education and digital learning. Now, digital learning is a new element to our School of Education, and it's one where we're encouraging people to think about how we can use technology to enhance, to monitor, and to support the learning from students right from nursery age through to university level. Of course, I'm biased, I'm a teacher, but education professionals all make a difference to the lives of children and young people, and it's one of the most rewarding jobs anybody can do. The courses that you do here, you will have work experience opportunities, and obviously future careers could be pursuing a career in education to become a teacher, but moreover, you could consider a career looking at the business and strategic side of academies, which of course are now becoming multi-academy trusts, so a number of schools within them. They require management and leadership, but also looking at how we can shape educational policy for future generations. Or you may want to take your education and psychology link and become an educational psychologist, looking at how people learn and how we can support people with particular learning needs. The School of Health and Social Care is our most popular school at the University of Lincoln. And we have a number of professionally accredited courses in nursing and social work. So professionally accredited means that these courses are needed if you wanted to pursue a particular course, a particular career, sorry, in nursing or social work. So we have our Bachelors of Science degrees in health and social care with a specialism in nursing, midwifery, and paramedic science as well. So if these are particular roles that you wish to pursue, you would need to follow the professionally accredited route. The Lincoln Law School. So here we have degrees linked to law, law and criminology, and also law for business as well. Now, quite often students, when they look at these particular choices, think, oh, I don't know which aspect of law I want to specialise in. For most students, what they can do is start a law course, so the top option there, and then decide in year 2 or even in year 3 that they want to specialise and go down a different route. So, for example, if you decided in year 2 that you're really interested in criminology, then you could link that with your law degree. And so there's always the option to change. Obviously, the most popular career routes include becoming a solicitor or a barrister, but many people who pursue a law degree go on to work in roles within the government, business sectors, and prisons. And at the University of Lincoln, I was very lucky to see this actually Easter. We have our own moot court on campus. So this is a court whereby students from year 1 of your studies get the opportunities to work on real cases within the law clinic, which is really exciting and valuable experience for them. The School of Psychology is another school that I was able to visit when I went over in Easter. They have all sorts of gadgets and exciting rooms there where they look at psychology and the function of the brain. So the degrees offered are psychology, psychology with forensic psychology, and psychology with mental health. So all the courses here are accredited by the BPS. Now, this is vital for those wishing to become a chartered psychologist. So if this is something that's pricked your interest and you're interested in psychology and taking that further, again, this is something that you would need university study for. And as I mentioned, we've got so many state-of-the-art labs at the university, including a rather interesting driving simulator, a 3D body scanner, and eye trackers as well. The School of Social and Political Sciences, this is one which combines criminology, politics, international relations, social policy, and sociology. And you can see the degrees there that are available. Now, many of these courses can be taken as joint honours, and there's also the possibility of taking an applied social science route, which gives you the change to tailor the degree to your interests across the wider college. Now, this reflects, again, those who perhaps aren't 100% convinced on the course that they want to go on to and wish to start at university and then change and tailor their choices accordingly. And then lastly, we have the School of Sport and Exercise Science. Now, programs are available here across a range of sport-related subjects. And there's lots of scientific research in here and excellent facilities, and lots of link with the industry and professional practices as well. The degrees we offer include the Bachelors of Science in Physical Education and Sport, and the Bachelor of Science in Health, Exercise and Nutrition. If any of these courses have sparked an interest, again, you can email me to find out more. You could also contact the schools directly, and the details are at the university's website to find out more about these particular courses, the entry requirements, and also where they can take you to in terms of your career. So here we get to the exciting bit, I hope. So possible careers. So you have decided that social science is for you. Here's a list of perhaps different and varied roles that you may have heard before or may not have heard before that all come under the social science umbrella. So intelligence analysis, very, very important in today's modern age of technology and highly sought after by the military. So the Army and the RAF are looking for people that are able to process data and able to look how it influences people's lives. We also have economists, urban planners, and social workers, all of which come under the social science umbrella. And perhaps some that you might not have come across before, a public relations manager, so someone managing how a company looks to the public and their outward image, health services manager, and a government advisor as well. I'm going to talk about a government advisor a little bit later on with the student I mentioned who graduated not so long ago from the University of Lincoln. What I would recommend you do, if any of these again are interesting to you or you're not quite sure what they do, is pick one or two and do some research on them and look at, again, entry requirements. What are they looking for? What are those skills that you could offer that would make you an ideal candidate for such a role? So urban planner, for example, is one that always stands out to me because I'm actually a geography teacher as well. And it's something that I think, if I was at school again, I possibly would pursue a career as an urban planner. So these are the people who design cities for the future. So really drawing together lots of social science and looking at how people live, what people need to live happily and comfortably, but more importantly, sustainably. So considering the future of our planet, our future needs, how we're going to manage food, waste, CO2 emissions, all of those problems, and designing exciting cities for the future that meet all of those needs. And also I've left some question marks there as well in the bottom right-hand box, because actually there might be other careers that you find once you start researching and start thinking about your interests and what really excites you and what you're passionate about, there could be other careers that then you find. So always research, always look and consider, what do I want to do? What difference can I make in the world? So here's an example of Dan Pasha. Dan graduated in 2013 and he studied at the University of Lincoln a BA Honours degree in politics. Dan's current role is a diplomat, and he's head of trade and investment at the British High Commission in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and he's also a Social Mobility Foundation mentor. Now, Dan is from London, and previous roles was he was a special constable for the London Metropolitan Police Service, and he was also a government advisor within the Department for Exiting the European Union. So he's got a really varied portfolio. And I spoke to Dan a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him about his choice to study politics, first of all, or to become a social science student, and what motivated him. And he said it was his passion for people and passion for making a difference. And he was really interested in how he could help, and always been fascinated by politics. Didn't necessarily have a huge interest in politics at school, but he was fascinated in considering how the government could run the country better to support more people. And so he decided to pursue that interest at university. When he went to university, he knew that he was interested in politics, but he didn't actually know where that was going to take him to. But through his work at university and through looking at politics, he really was excited by the prospects of working with other countries. And that's when he decided that he was going to aim to become a diplomat and work through the government departments that way. So Dan's advice to you is to work hard, give 100%, and then seek new challenges. And this is something that stuck with me. And I mentioned this at the start, thinking about you don't have to just have one role in life, just one career. You can do something, give it a try, give it your all, and then look to do something else. And I think that's what possibly unites people interested in social science, because it's about people, and we're interested in people, and we're interested in helping them and making a difference. And quite often, working hard and giving 100%, but then looking to do something new is a way of us also developing ourselves as well, but still keeping to the core the fact that we're making a difference. Dan's advice also is to research as much as you possibly can and attend university open days. So if university is something you're considering, I would absolutely advise you get round universities on their open days and talk to students, talk to teachers there, and ask the questions that matter to you. And please don't ever be afraid about emailing university admission teams and asking them how to support you in terms of your personal statement, in terms of any questions that you have, and reach out to current students. So there's a great facility, you may be aware of something called UniBuddy. Now, UniBuddy is an online system which most universities have signed up to, and on there you can register and you can link up with a current student. Many of them are third-year students in a course that you're interested in. And then what that student can do is answer your questions, and they can be very honest about university life, about funding, and about the course as well. And it's just really good sometimes to get that perspective from somebody who's living and breathing what possibly you could go on to do. Dan also advises that you consider the different modules taught on the different programs and take up opportunities such as, for him, the Model United Nations. So the Model United Nations is something we offer at Lincoln for the politics and international relations degrees, where you get to represent a country in a Model United Nation conference. You will be on the General Assembly and you'll get to put forward a motion and get to debate it amongst other people representing different countries. And then his last bit of advice is don't ever be afraid to take risks and to move forward and go for it. And I think Dan and his success with his previous roles and also in his current role is really testament to somebody that's pushed themselves, explored a goal, given it his all, and then looked for new challenges as well. So Dan Pasha, I think a fantastic example of somebody who has engaged with social science and really made a difference to others. So in terms of further research, there's a really good website here. You may have come across it before, which is called prospects.ac.uk. If you are interested in social science, as are the disciplines and the subjects that I've spoke through this evening, have a go at this quiz on the website and find out which job profile suits you best. So by doing the quiz, it will look through your hobbies, your interests, your likes, your dislikes. You may have done something similar before, but specifically it will link you to careers of social science, and you can explore different degrees and then compare starting salaries and employment prospects. You can also use prospects to help compare different routes into a social science career. So for example, degree apprenticeships, T-levels, and all those different options that are open to you. And if you want to even look further ahead, you could consider different postgraduate routes for further study, as well as different specialisms you could pursue. But above all else, I think my main message to you is to do your research. It does take time. It can feel laborious at times, but try and talk to as many different people about the options available to you. And although it can be a little bit draining on your time, research can also be really exciting because it's your future you're considering and you can go anywhere. So go for it, but be informed as well. Okay, so that is the end of my presentation. I'm now going to throw the floor open to questions, and I've just got two that were sent in before the presentation started. So we'll address those first of all, and then I'll take any questions at all from any of you listening this evening. So first question, what types of job can you get into with sociology, and what route could you take? Okay, so first of all, just from a personal experience, I have one student of mine who's now at the University of Bath, and she's studying a degree in sociology. And when we went through the process of her selecting her degree, it was very much, okay, where are you going to take this? What do you want to do with sociology? And why are you choosing this particular route to pursue? And she was a little bit confused, and she wasn't quite sure on the difference between sociology and social policy, although they are very similar. And it was really just that she enjoyed learning about people, learning about how society works. And she's at university now, and she's absolutely decided that she wants to go into government, and she wants to specifically look at local government as well, which is a bit of a surprise to me. I didn't think she was going to go that way. But through her study, she's discovered that that's a particular interest of hers, understanding how local government works. But that is by no means the only possibility. So you can go on to postgraduate study, which is after your degree, all over the world. You could go into the police force, civil nuclear constabulary, charity fundraising. You could go into different elements such as the European Commission, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, which is where we heard about Dan, Her Majesty's Customs and Excise, teaching, of course, we've mentioned, youth offending, being a probation officer, working for the NHS, MP's caseworker. You could become an MP if you wish. Working for the World Bank, the British Civil Service, Probation Trust, the Army, as I've mentioned before, Red Cross, and of course become a social worker. So there are so many possibilities within the social science sphere, and really it's not so much about the degree or the course that you've chosen, it's about those transferable skills that studying a subject like sociology will give you. And there's all different routes that you can take. University is just one of them, but there are other routes such as degree apprenticeship, such as a traditional apprenticeship as well, and different T-levels. Okay, the second question is, taking social science at university essential for a career in social science? And the honest answer is no, it isn't, unless there is a specific career that you have in mind, for example, to become a psychologist, that requires an accredited route. There are many, many different routes available for people. And also, there might be work experience that you want to gain before you consider going to university as well. The most important thing to here is, as I've said before, is to do research and really look into those careers and what you could possibly do. The answer here, though, is that it's a tricky question, because there's no one thing that a career in social science looks like. What students get from a social science degree beyond that knowledge is the development of being analytical, having evaluation skills and critical thinking skills, which are attributes many employers look for. And as I've mentioned before, the post-COVID society that we're entering into, social science students, whether that is degree or A-level, are sought after in so many different employment areas and different industries that there is no doubt that it's of value to them. Okay, that is it from me in terms of the formal presentation. Here's some general keeping in touch information and a general inquiries email for anything university related that you may wish to ask. As I said at the start, I will share this presentation with you, and it's got my personal email at the start at the slide 1 if there's anything specific you'd like to talk to me about social science. Thank you very much for listening. I hope we're going to have lots and lots of questions. I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you, Katie. I think that was absolutely tremendous to hear. I've been listening in the background, and I'm sure students, I do hope students will type some messages. Sometimes they're a little reluctant, but do type away, please, asking Katie anything that you can think of. It's never a stupid question. Whilst we're waiting, I'll also point out that Jane has been busy, thank you Jane, typing in the background some really good links to lots and lots of the things that you've mentioned, and more. I think some of those things like uni buddies she's also put, so when this presentation goes out, there are lots and lots of links there that students can access. Whilst we're waiting to see if there are any questions, I was very interested, Katie, in the definitions that you gave of the sort of students and the sort of people who tend to go for social sciences. And that curiosity, creativity and critical thinking. And I think that's where sometimes students don't recognise the skills that they are learning through their academic studies and through gaining work experience and other things. And perhaps whilst we're waiting, could you just mention about what kind of work experience students might look to have? I know it's very broad, but if you could give some ideas, that might be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think recent COVID times have made work experience and gaining work experience actually, in a way, easier. So although physical work experience is fantastic, and it doesn't really matter what guise that's in. So even if you've got a part-time job, that's really good because it shows that you can have communication skills, you can problem solve, you've got you've got all those different skills that universities look for or employers look for. In terms of the social science route, then it's really anything that's in the caring profession. So anything where you're volunteering perhaps for a charity, and that could be in a local charity shop, which is fantastic, or in a local care home, is really good because it's shown that you have compassion. And that's really, for most of the social science pathways, they want people that are compassionate to other human beings. Even helping out at coffee mornings, so Macmillan coffee mornings, for example, which I know a lot of institutions run, they're really good ways of showing that you have those kind of caring attributes. The reason I say that COVID's made it easier is because both employers and also colleges and universities are much more flexible on the work experience requirements. So it used to be quite stringent in that you had to have, for example, 3 months of work experience in a particular sector in order to be considered for a place on a course or indeed a role. But because of COVID, that's no longer possible, and that puts lots of people at disadvantages. So what they've now said is virtual work experience is accepted as well. And there are a huge, vast number of virtual work experience opportunities that young people can do, and they're all free as well. And they can be particular projects that students can sign up to do, or it could be that they're watching video tutorials on what it's like to do a particular career or a particular role, but they're just as valid. And I wouldn't even now dismiss them because we're coming out of COVID, touch wood. I still think students should explore, if there is a career that they've heard about this evening, for example, or one they've got in mind, that they do explore, are there virtual learning opportunities for this particular career? The other route to take is to arrange a one-to-one, perhaps via Teams, like we're doing here, with people in the role that they wish to pursue. And that could be a Q&A that they arrange with somebody, for example, a midwife. So they arrange to do a one-to-one talk with the midwife and ask them questions about their career. Even though it's not work experience, then I think recruiters are flexible now because of the COVID situation, and it shows that a young person is committed and wants to find out more about the demands of this particular role. And also it's fantastic research for the students as well, because you'll get to know, okay, is this the job for me? What skills do I need? And the last thing I say about work experience is, if you are thinking of university, then the admissions team and the admissions information on the website is really clear about the work experience requirements that they'll be looking for. Now is the time really to look, because you've got the long summer holidays ahead of you and the sun is shining. Yes, Jane, that's an excellent link, Speakers for Schools. The sun is shining and it's a time to get out there and really start to develop those skills, because the brutal honest truth of it is you are going to be competing, whichever route you want to go down, university, college, or straight into employment or an apprenticeship, with thousands of other students. And I'll say the same to you as I say to mine, every one of those goes to school or college and gets their qualifications. Every one of them. So you need something that sets you apart, and quite often work experience and volunteering and putting yourself out there is a really good way to enhance your application, whichever route you choose.
That's really helpful and very positive, and certainly very much along the lines that we encourage here at King Edward's. And this progression week, we have a number of other talks, but we've also got a Meet the Employer opportunity tomorrow. We also have, we've got an interesting set of people coming from Capgemini online on Thursday, and also actually a careers fair of public services. And we have a variety of people coming to that students are able to attend. Wow. So this week we actually are focusing on a variety of careers, but as you say, certainly Jane's suggestion of Speakers for Schools, the Spring Pod, using Unifrog, which is a platform that students have free access to. There are what they call MOOCs, extended projects, and all sorts of suggestions about the kind of competencies and skills associated with a variety of different careers. So I'd encourage all students to, as Dan obviously said, do your research and take some risks. Put yourself out there. I think it's very, very good advice.
Absolutely, yeah, and advice that I think we should all live out. I'm quite interested actually, if the students that are listening, if you could put in the chat box the kind of careers that you're thinking of, would be really interesting. I'm not going to pick on anyone, don't worry. I'm just quite curious in terms of social science, if there's a particular route that you're interested in, or maybe it was just to find out this evening, a broader look.
Students, it would be really helpful if you could put something in the chat. It's nobody's going to pick on you, but it would be nice if you could. But in the meantime, I would say as well that the open days and Lincoln is quite some distance away, but it is accessible, and I would very much encourage students. We're forging very, very good links with Lincoln University as we progress through a lot of this year, and I would really encourage students to take the time to attend if they possibly can in person, but to certainly investigate the website and any of the opportunities. We've also got a careers fair that we're having here, an HE fair on the 5th of October that will be announced to students in the autumn term, and Lincoln are coming along to that, and I would very much encourage students to go along to the stand as to the others, but specifically I think to Lincoln, to find the kinds of courses that you've discussed today.
Yeah, I think it's really important that students do investigate different universities, because obviously I'm representing the University of Lincoln, but University of Lincoln might not be the university for a particular student. They're so varied in the campus style, the teaching style, the units that you study. I think the most important thing is to do the research and go to as many open days as you can. I know it's a bit of a pain travelling around the country, but it is really worth it to go and see. You'll get a flavour for the university and how the campus feels. And it is a big old decision at the end of the day. So the more informed you are, the better. And we're more than happy to welcome you. We've got our Lincoln Open Day there coming up. We've got lots of them throughout the summer. Certainly do come and visit us. You'll be more than welcome.
That's really helpful. Thank you very much indeed. Well, as we at the moment haven't got any students asking questions or willing to put something in the chat, I know that it's probably quite late and they're all ready to go off and do other things. But Katie, thank you so much for your time. The presentation was excellent. We'd like also perhaps if you could thank Dan for us as well at some point, because I think that was excellent advice. It's great when we have alumni of our own talking, which we do have sometimes on these speaker series, but I know for you as well, you will value very much what he has to say, and I would thank him for passing on the benefit of his experience to our students as well.
We'll do as well. I mean, and also I'd just like to say I went to the University of Lincoln as well, and I did management in my degree. I never wanted to be a teacher. I just kind of fell into it, I suppose, and I've been doing it for 17 years. I'm going to blame Dan. Shall I blame Dan? No, it's not quite Dan's fault, but I've decided I'm taking Dan's advice and I'm going to leave teaching in July and work for the university full time. So I'm completely changing my career. I feel excited, I feel invigorated, and I think, you know, taking Dan's advice about working hard, giving 100%, and then look for a new challenge is something that I think is really important in life. And I'm really glad that I'm doing that. And I encourage you all to embrace your careers, but always look for new opportunities as well. And I think social science gives you that option.
Thank you very much indeed. And what I would say to students is that the careers department staff, that's myself, Phalo and Jane, are in room DD 0.07. You can remember that by 007 if you wish. And you are welcome to come and make an appointment to see us, but do take advantage of all of the opportunities that we have running this week and forthcoming. And we look very much forward to working with Katie and with Lincoln in the future. So thank you for this evening, Katie. We'll stop the recording and we shall circulate this and meet you again soon. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. And good luck with your choices and enjoy your week. It sounds really exciting. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.